I'll also be able to allow my colleague here, who is an expert, to be able to comment on some of the issues that may require the expertise. Thank you.
I'm not an expert, I'm an expert in politics. So the issue of GDP growth, I think, as asked by Honorable Chanda Remember Mutale, that is looking at the interrogations that were done by the Planning and Budgeting Committee, is it achievable? Yes, it's possible that it can be achieved, and it's very easy because looking at what the witnesses submitted, GDP growth, it's just this is just a percentage. Now, most people are expressing concern that, look, if this year we are growing at the growth has been revised to 2 point something, how is it possible that next year we can jump to 6.6? The reason is simple, because we had that target, but we have been affected by factors that were not foreseen. So now, if all the macroeconomic fundamentals come back in place, it's very easy to attain this 6.6%. Yeah, it's not predictable, but remember, we are working with the assumption. It's an assumption, and it's just a target which can be achieved or may not be achieved, but it's possible that it can be achieved. One, the assumption that has been made, I think in answering this question, we'll combine it with the question that was asked by Honorable Kafwa. The people who prepared the budget assumed that there will be enough rains. Enough rains is going to ensure that it's going to make us produce more. There will be productivity in the agriculture sector. Now, the agriculture sector itself, it also spurs economic development. There is economic growth that comes from the agriculture sector. It forms when you look at economic growth, economic growth comes from different sectors: infrastructure, real estate, agriculture, financial sector. So there is growth that comes from the agriculture sector. So if the agriculture sector performs well, 2024 to 2025, then that good performance will have a positive impact on economic growth. If the interventions that the government is saying, the interventions that they are saying they are putting in place to negate the energy challenges work out positively, that will also have a positive impact on the economic growth. Number one, the proposed increment in tariffs that will ensure that there will be more electricity. So the industries that are not producing now, they'll start producing, because then they'll be able to pay. We should not, of course, discount the disadvantages that the increased tariffs will come with on the other consumers who are just like domestic consumers, but the industries will have electricity. The people operating in tourism, they will have electricity. Hotels, they will have electricity. So it's possible that there can be growth. Then, Honorable Kafwa, I think the question by Engineer Mavenga was basically a comment. Honorable Kafwa asked the second question on domestic revenue mobilization. How will the government achieve this very ambitious target? To begin with, I agree, and we agree with the observation by Honorable Kafwa that this target is ambitious. Yes, it is. Now, the people that prepared this budget based their assumption that they will achieve this on the basis that they will enhance enforcement at the Zambia Revenue Authority. Then they also believe that the digitalization of the Zambia Revenue Authority will help enhance collections. The introduction of smart invoicing will help in ensuring that taxpayers are more compliant, because what will be happening is that if me as a taxpayer I do not declare properly the taxes, the other person who is the second party to the transaction will declare. So it will help ZRA to collect the right taxes. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for those responses. Honorable Nyenda, would you want to add?
Yes, in fact, when we tried to find out from the people who prepared the budget on where they were basing all these assumptions, especially that we have suffered serious drought and ZRA was not modernized, they confirmed to us that actually 90% of the work for ensuring that ZRA is capable of conducting the smart invoicing has already been done. All this time they have been investing and ensuring that ZRA is modernized. So hoping that people can be compliant, then we can be able to recover in some way. However, Honorable Kafwaya talked about the toll gate concessions going, and how do we expect to really increase our revenues, especially that most of the monies that we get, some of it comes from toll gate concessions. This was one of the questions that we asked Ministry of Finance. However, they still insisted that 6.6% was actually attainable as long as we can have good weather, we have then the right imports of electricity, and opening up of the other new mines, we can be able to attain this 6.6% growth. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. Any last question, Honorable Mamba? Nambazi, not from you, sir. Is it a follow-up, Honorable Kafa? Okay, so we'll get his follow-up, then you come to Honorable Mamba, then we'll close. Honorable Kafa.
Honorable Chair, thank you so much. And I'm glad the committee unequivocally indicates that these are assumptions. This year with the La Nina on board, we know that we are having favorable temperatures on the Pacific, which will bring rain in this part of the world, particularly in Zambia. What rain will do to this country is that it may bring floods or flash floods. That's a very different challenge to the drought we are coming out of. I don't know if my honorable colleagues will remember what happened in Wapla province when there were floods, and the flash floods there, all the crop went completely. So that assumption is a difficult one. And to share with you, my honorable colleagues, my experiences in my constituents, inputs have been distributed and inputs have been stolen. Okay, so again, to assume that agriculture will perform simply because we have rain, it may be a very narrow view. So clearly for me, I think these assumptions need to be expanded. I would like you to just comment on that narrow understanding that when there's no rain, there's no crop. When there's rain, there's crop. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Mamba.
Thank you, Chairman, and I'm very hesitant to ask questions to my colleagues because we're all going through the same issues, and these are some of the issues which were presented by the Minister of Finance. I think for me, also just agreeing to some extent with Honorable Kafwaya, also with Honorable Mukosa, because as accountants we don't work with assumptions, it's estimates, and estimates are closer. But these probabilities, I think, Chairman, I'm a bit hesitant. Yes, the issue of ZRA modernization, I did ask the Minister of Finance the same question, because are we looking at only smart invoicing and modernization, or are we looking at tapping into the informal sector? Because we've got a formal sector which is heavily taxed, And then how do we achieve our DRM, the domestic resource mobilization, with those defects? Secondly, I think they need to run us through, because we need to have this projection and look at in an event that we have sufficient, too much rains, issue of the resilience and climate adaptation. How then do we balance it too? Because we are talking about just an assumption. It will rain, we'll have more power, we'll have more crop, and then we'll achieve this, our budget. What are the defects and how do we intend to mitigate some of those issues? I think those are issues we're asking the Minister of Finance, because this is an assumption based issue of target concession. Yes, revenue has gone down and it's not going to change, even if you look at the revenue sharing. So then how are we mitigating to ensure that we achieve the 6.6, as well as because this budget is a DRM based budget. We have to mobilize domestic resources, but we've got all these defects. How are we curbing these defects for us to achieve what we want? I think that's the main issue. I think I've heard from all these submissions from the Minister of Finance, but I'm very reluctant because we are on the receiving side. Chairman, I just thought of commenting on that.
Thank you. Would you want to?
Let me just allow Honorable Mkosa to say something about that.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Chairman, the observations by the honorable colleagues are on point, and we are explaining the basis on which the executive submitted the budget. That's why the report or the presentation by the Planning and Budgeting Committee has made an observation that where I said that the committee notes with concern the devastating impact of the 2023 to 2024 drought on various sectors of the economy, constraining economic performance, which can happen again. So going forward, the committee recommends for climate change mainstreaming in the budgeting process for various ministries and spending agencies. This will help in mitigating climate change related risks. What does this mean? It means that the committee on planning and budgeting has seen this weakness that the two honorable colleagues are talking about, and we have made a recommendation, because like Honorable Kafwaya stated, we are going to have floods. It's possible that the floods may destroy the crops that we are anticipating that will help in improving productivity in the agricultural sector. There is nothing really that the executive submitted to show that there is a mitigation measure against climate change. That's why we are advising them that they should find a way of mainstreaming climate change in the budgeting process.
Thank you so much, Honorable Mkosa. In addition, the other issue which Honorable Kafwaya has talked about, the issue of inputs being distributed and being stolen. This is just a lack of discipline. You already know that you have a problem in the country. There is hunger. People everywhere are crying. And you who are, given the power to distribute the farming inputs, you also want to take advantage and steal from the same. That is being very, I don't know what I can call, because it may be unparliamentarian and, yes, reckless ways of doing things. The advice that I can just give, especially to the people who are given the powers to distribute the farming inputs, this issue of hunger is serious and it is affecting everyone, and the whole country has come to a halt because of that. So it would be wise that the government should ensure that the law enforcers should go down, especially when we are talking about rural, constituencies where there is a lot of farming that is taking place. There are resources to ensure inputs which are bought at a very high cost one of the things, because you cannot to be climate that there is, if we are going to have floods this time, we are supposed to be building dams so that we can be able to reserve that water and be able to utilize it, because it is a resource that is a gem that we require today. We're just coming from Victoria Falls, and you can literally see that there is nothing that is happening. There is no water, and even, you know, power generation is being hampered. So there is need for us to come up with resilience. When we have more floods, then we have a problem. You have less rain, you have a problem. How can we be a country which will be running at extremes? There is no rain, we have a serious challenge. We have extreme rains, and then we have another problem. So there is need actually for us to request that dams should be built now, so that the floods, we can be able to harvest the water and be able to utilize it on a day when we do not have that water.
Thank you. Well, members, we are concluding. We are way past time. I saw a hand from Honorable Mutale. Would you want to? Okay, I think he has withdrawn, so we can. Okay, no, you can.
Yeah, no, it's not really for you. It's about because I know that we've got a permanent witness here, the PBO. Just wanted them to highlight something here, so that we learn something from them. We are dealing with assumptions here. Elsewhere where you've been, do they base their budgets on assumptions? Because I've been following budgets like from the UK. Their budgets are on point and they do what they is it true that that is the case, or should I put my question in this way? Department, which normally gives us a prediction of what is going to happen. Why is it? Because what this room is about the agriculture industry. That's why we are aiming to grow this, or to get the 6.6% GDP growth. Now, my question is, why are we working on an assumption? Even we believe, we don't trust this report that they gave us, like from the Ministry of Green Economy. Is that the case?
Okay. So what we'll do is we'll put that question in the fridge, so to say, so that when we are trying to conclude in-house, then because our colleagues, people are now at part of the process, they will also give us the question. Then we will ask the with the vice chairman person for the planning and budgeting committee. Thank you very much for those insights. Okay, yes, right. So, okay, so the next one is so they can join us, because you know they're part of this committee. No, you can just come straight. Okay, honourable members, the next one is the Public Accounts Committee. have now colleagues from the Public Accounts Committee. I think they are led by Honorable Jonathan Daka. Good morning and you are welcome. Thank you. So what we will do is we will allow you, just the three of you, because we are live on the Parliament TV and radio, and you are the ones presenting, to introduce yourselves, and then we'll start.
Thank you, Chair. As you have rightly said, my name is Jonathan Daka, Member of Parliament for Chadiza Constituency in Eastern Province, and my colleagues also introduce themselves.
That's yours.
Good morning, Chair. My name is Swongile Mwamba. I represent the people of Kasama Central Constituency, and I'm a member of the Public Accounts Committee. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. My name is Gordon Mira, Member of Parliament for Mufira Central Constituency and member of the Public Accounts Committee.
Thank you. And my name is Fred Jatila, Member of Parliament for Momba Constituency, Chairman for the Budget, for the Expanded Planning and Budgeting Committee. So other provisions like Capital, the laws will not apply, because even if we were to do that, it will make no difference. We cannot take you anywhere. But however, just to indicate that you, as you are aware, that going forward, our standing orders now call for the sector budget analysis, meaning that each committee has to present or interrogate their heads as given in the budget process. And we are happy that as the Public Accounts Committee now, we are appearing before this committee where we are doing consolidation of the submissions from the other committees. So we have your submission, and basically the guide is that you may not want to go through the whole document, but more especially you need to take us through what, as a committee, you got as the recommendations and any other salient points that which we need to bring before this committee. So if it is your wish, we can give you, say, if you need all of it, about 15 to 20 minutes. To take us through your submission, and then I will give time for the members to ask questions if at all there will be, and then we'll be done. Okay, so having said that, Honorable Dak and your team, you can start.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson of the Expanded Planning and Budget Committee. The Public Accounts Committee, whose functions are set out in the standard orders, in the Standing Orders 204A of the National Assembly of Zambia, Standing Orders of 2024, has the honor to present its report on the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the financial year 1st January to 31st December 2025 for the three heads, namely 1. Head 21, Loans and Investments; 2. Head 28, Emolument Commissions; and 3. Head 87, Anti-Corruption Commission. Chair, in scrutinizing the three heads of expenditure, the committee held 9 meetings and interacted with Ministers of Finance and National Planning and Defense, respective permanent secretaries and director generals, selected grant-aided institutions and non-state actors. Chairperson, the committee report highlights the findings and recommendations of the committee on each head. The report is in 3 parts. Part 1 presents the committee's findings and recommendations arising from the consideration of the budget estimates for Head 21, Loan and Investments. Part 2 outlines findings and recommendations emanating from the consideration of the budget estimate for Head 28, which is Emolument Commission. Part 3, Chair, outlines findings and recommendations emanating from the consideration of the budget estimates for Head 87 and Corruption Commission. Let me highlight some of the recommendations of the committee on the 3 heads of expenditure. I'll start with head number 21, which is Loan and Investments. Number 1, the committee observes that a total of 1.7 billion has been allocated for 2025 under the Financial Investment Management Program, with a goal of recapitalizing SOEs, while the committee commends that commends the efforts by government to improve the SOE's operational effectiveness, generate profit and enhance their position to make larger economic contributions. There is need to ensure that SOEs commit to promoting self-sufficiency and lessens dependency on government support. That's our number one observation and recommendation. The committee therefore urges government to expedite the establishment of the supervisory and performance monitoring framework for the SOEs in order to mitigate wastage of scarce public resources. The committee further urges government to ensure that the allocated resources are extended in all efficient manner. Two, the committee observes that the 14 billion has been set aside for project investment management program for the infrastructure project such as road construction, maintenance and rehabilitation. However, following the poor performance of the previous road projects and the identification of road infrastructure project as one of the key drivers of debt, the committee expresses concerns about the possible financial leakages that could derail efforts for fiscal consolidation. In view of the above, Chair, the committee recommends that the allocated funds should be disbursed in accordance with the approved budget ceilings. The funds should be efficiently expended with effective monitoring mechanism. 3, Chair, the committee applauds government for setting aside 1.3 billion for large-scale infrastructure development initiatives targeting the upgrading of airports, investment in tourism and border infrastructure, and building timber value chains. While the allocation is commendable, the committee observes with concern that previous allocations had been made towards the revamping of capital projects such as Kasaba Bay, albeit with insignificant progress recorded. In view of the above, Chair, the committee recommends that the government should undertake feasibility studies and provide a clear roadmap on how it intends to attain the desired outcomes. This will prevent further wastage of resources. In addition, Chair, the committee urges the government to prioritize the allocation to border infrastructure such as Chavuma that are in a deplorable state. 4, Chair, the committee further expresses concern over the 25 million set aside for infrastructure development in Liuwa National Park. Amidst the energy crisis that the country is facing, Chair, in this regard, the committee recommends that part of the funds allocated towards the rehabilitation of the Liuwa National Park should be channeled towards the energy generation in order to cushion the energy crisis that the country is currently facing. Number 5, Chair, the committee notes that a total of 6.3 billion in 2025, representing a 28.5% share of the total budget for Head 21, has been allocated to the centralized strategic projects for purposes of dismantling arrears and the fulfillment of Zambia international commitments. While the committee acknowledges government's commitment to address the outstanding liabilities under the revised dismantling of domestic arrears strategy, DDAS for 2024 to 2029, it urges the government to ensure efficient execution of the budget and the maintenance of the fiscal discipline to prevent the accumulation of new arrears. Chair, I'll move to Head 28, which is Emolument Commission, if I'm allowed to.
Please.
1, Chair, the committee observes with concern that the 29.4 million allocation to the Emolument Commission in the 2025 budget is inadequate to enable the Commission execute its mandate. In this regard, the committee urges the government to provide additional funding of 140 million with 48 million for staff recruitment, 77.2 million for purchase of office accommodation, and 14.8 million for operational costs. Chair, while the committee acknowledges the mandate of the Commission, it is of the view that the mandate should be limited only to determining emoluments for institutions under the executive arm of government, as witnessed in other countries. The committee further urges government to urgently commence the process of enacting legislation providing the financial autonomy of the legislature. The committee is of the view that the legislation should, among other things, stipulate the independence of the legislature in relation to the estimates, determination of the emolument in relation to the estimates, to its estimates, determination of the emoluments, recruitment and the placement of staff. I'll move to head 87, Chair, which is the Anti-Corruption Commission. Chair, the committee observes with concern the persistent erratic funding of the Anti-Corruption Commission. The committee further bemoans the inadequate transport and lack of office space for the officers in the commission. In this regard, the committee urges the government to ensure that the commission is adequately funded as the proposed budget ceiling. The committee further urges the government to ensure that the legislation governing the operations of the SEC is amended to allow for part of the funds and assets recovered and forfeited to the state to be retained as appropriation in aid to help mitigate the operational costs of the Anti-Corruption Commission. Number 2, Chair, the committee observes with concern the low staffing levels at the Anti-Corruption Commission and the failure to decentralize the institution to all districts in the country. This has greatly hampered the Commission's ability to effectively combat corruption. The committee therefore urges government to provide adequate resources towards the expansion of the staff establishment at the SEC in order to enhance the Commission's ability to attend to corruption cases in a timely manner. Number 3, Chair, the committee further observes that corruption cases are becoming more complex. In this regard, the committee urges the government to ensure that additional resources are allocated towards building capacity for the staff in trending technological advancements such as the use of artificial intelligence in conducting investigation. Chair, this is what we submit as a Public Accounts Committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Honorable Dark and your team. Honorable members, any questions? Okay, maybe just as a start, under head 28, is it 28? Yes, the Emoluments Commission. There is a proposal that the commission be given an extra, is it 140 million? 140 million. Now, I don't know whether within this head, whether you were given as a committee what they are proposing, where you will have to shift funds within the head. So I don't know whether this was a request to top up on the existing amount, or you needed to shift some monies from another line to cater for that 140. I hope you get my question. Yeah.
Chair, thank you, Chair. I think I will allow Honorable Mwida to come in and respond to it.
Thank you very much, Chair. As the report states, the amount allocated for 2025 to the Commission is 29.4 billion kwacha. Now, this 140 is a request over and above the 29.4 billion.
Thank you. Any other questions, Honorable Kafaya?
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. I wish to appreciate the committee for its report and its presentation to the expanded Planning and Budgeting Committee. Honorable Chair, as your witness was winding down the submission of the committee, he indicated that there is this realization that corruption is becoming more complex, and therefore there is need to facilitate more funding to the commission, the Anti-Corruption Commission. Is the committee able to give us just a few examples of why they believe corruption is actually becoming more complex? Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. Another question? Honorable Smushi?
Thank you, Chair. Allow me to join my colleague in commending the committee for this report. However, I have a question on their concern over the 25 million kwacha that is supposed to go towards the infrastructure for the Liuwa National Park, and especially that they are proposing that part of the money should go towards mitigating the energy crisis. I'm aware that maybe not so much resource has been put to the energy sector from the government side, but I believe there is a lot that is happening from the private sector to try and come in to mitigate on the energy sector. So I don't know really where, in terms of channeling resources to the energy sector, where the committee is proposing that part of the 25 million should go. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Bandeleki, then we'll allow the team to respond.
Thank you very much, Chair. Mine is to do with the Anti-Corruption Commission. I just wanted to know whether the committee had an opportunity to understand the challenges in terms of the weak legislative framework which require immediate amendment. That's the Anti-Corruption Commission Act number 3 of 2012. I'm wondering whether this committee had an opportunity to delve into the problems that are facing the Anti-Corruption Commission, which is the law. The law is so weak that it doesn't deter anybody from committing corruption in the Republic of Zambia. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Daka,
Thank you very much, Chair. I will apportion the questions to my colleagues who are here, and the first will be taken up by Honorable Mwila, and the last one will be taken up by Honorable Mai. Honorable Mwila.
Thank you very much. Chair, I think the first question from Honorable Kafaya, seeking any examples of the complex corruption cases. Without going into any specific details, but Chair, we are aware as a nation, for example, from the Financial Intelligence Center reports that have been released recently, how much of the funds locally generated in manners unknown is being externalized out of this country. And our request, for more allocation of funding to Anti-Corruption Commission is to enable them not just do with investigations within the country, but allow them also to collaborate adequately with the other anti-corruption institutions outside of this country because of the increased number of funds being externalized out of this country. We believe that externalization is part of the complex nature of the corruption activities. Chair, the next question was why the committee is recommending that the 25 million in Liuwa be channeled to other need areas that we know. We are talking about the energy sector. Chair, the committee can be informed that when the ministry appeared, the committee requested for details of how this 25 million is going to be expended within Liuwa, and we did not receive adequate support or justification from the ministry, and as a result, we felt that this allocation lacks adequate support from the ministry themselves. I submit.
Thank you.
Honorable Mai, you can take up the last question from Honorable Bandeleki.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and the honorable members. The question from Honorable Andeleki, representing the wonderful people for Katombora constituency, as to whether the committee had any issue to do with the SEC Act number 3 of 2012, which is very weak. I wish to submit that our recommendation as a committee to have more funding to anti-corruption commission was to ensure that SEC is given more tools to educate citizens on how to combat corruption. However, the issue of the act, honorable members, cannot only be for the committee. It is a concern for all of us that where we have come across an act which is weak, which is not helping us to fight corruption, I think it is the need for us, all members of parliament, to ensure that this act number 3 of 2012 is amended. I submit, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So the last, okay, Honorable Daka.
Honorable Chairperson, that we heard from the Anti-Corruption Commission that even the funding that was allocated to the commission in the last budget, only 50% was honored. So we are looking at a situation where government doesn't even fully finance the budget. So now with a reduction, which means the situation is going to be worsened. I wanted just to make an emphasis why we are recommending that, in fact, we need even to increase the budget allocation towards the commission. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. Another? Okay, so take questions from Honorable Yinanda, Honorable Siveso, and Honorable Kasanda in that order, then we'll come to the next one. Let me give time to the ladies now. Honorable Yinanda.
Thank you very much, Chair. The question that I have for the committee is there was a note that there was serious low staffing levels at the Anti-Corruption Commission, and if we look at page 18, when we look at these performance key indicators in table 15, you find that maybe the target for total prosecution of cases before the courts, that is for 2024, was 40, but the actual was only what? 15. I would want to find out, could it be one of the reasons why a lot of people are being arrested and yet the cases in courts, they are not finishing? Looking at your table and this submission where you indicated that the SEC has got low staffing levels, I'd want your comment and what was their submission and what would be a proper establishment for them.
Thank you. Honorable Sveso.
Thank you so very much, Chair. And let me also join my colleagues in congratulating the committee for a very well-tabled report. My question is on page 30.
Okay, you can continue.
My question is on page 13. This is on the emoluments commission, and one of the recommendations that the committee made was that while it acknowledges the mandate of the commission, it's of the view that the mandate should be limited only to determining emoluments for institutions under the executive arm of government. My question is that what are the dangers that exist, especially in regards to the legislation, when they do not have the full autonomy to make their own decisions? We've seen other countries where parliament has the autonomy, to make decisions, and it's an arm also that exists on this. So I just wanted you to highlight, the challenges that come with parliament, for example, legislature not having the full autonomy. I submit.
Thank you. Honorable Kasanda.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you for that very good submission. I just wanted to find out, my question is from page 2, on compliance. You have stated that the committee was informed by the ministry that they were current with the submissions of its annual reports to Parliament and their strategic plans from 2022 to 2026. But you've also outlined here that the ministry had not submitted the 2023 annual budget performance report. I just wanted to find out, looking at the fact that this is mandatory for them, I wanted to find out why they had not submitted and if they had given a time frame as to when they will be able to submit. Thank you.
Thank you. You can respond to those.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. I will respond to Honorable Nyerenda's question. Yes, honorable members, one of the reasons why we have got this challenge of having so many cases not being attended to is because of low staffing levels, as you have seen from the performance indicators you referred to. The other challenge is the lack of funding. I am just from explaining to the committee that out of what was allocated in the previous budget, only 50% funding was received by the Commission. How would you expect the Commission to perform effectively? So basically, you are right to say that's one of the reasons why the performance actually has been incapacitated. Honorable Mira, you can take the questions from Honorable Siveso.
Thank you, Chair. I think Honorable Siveso's question is about the dangers of lack of autonomy in the, for example, in the legislature, as far as the Emoluments Commission is concerned. I think, Chair, as our Constitution stipulates in terms of the separation of powers between the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature, and what we see in practice is the separation is mainly in terms of functions, but in terms of financial autonomy, these different arms of government still have to fall under different the executive institutions like this. So really there is a danger in that, you know, the compromise in terms of how the legislature, for example, can execute its own functions when financially it has to depend on the executive to determine financial aspects of the institution, compromises the functioning, the total independence of the legislature. Chair, I think the other question from Honorable Kasanda about the ministry failing to submit the 2023 annual budget performance. Well, Chair, as a committee, we noted this was actually an admission by themselves, and so they are aware that they have not met, you know, this one of their functions. But in terms of when they intend to do that submission, it is a requirement that they did not commit, you know, to the time frame within which they should be able to submit it. But it's an admission that they have fallen short of this, their responsibility.
Thank you. Honorable.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairperson. I think in addition to what the honorable members have submitted, the low staffing levels at ACC, this has been the trend for so many years. It has not just happened now. And this is a concern for all of us to ensure that the establishment for every institution is up to date, because this has not happened yesterday. This is also what we found. So it was the concern also of the committee that indeed there is need for the government to rectify what has been happening at ACC by ensuring that more funding is given to the institution so that they can increase their staff levels. The issue of the Emoluments Commission restricting itself to the executive, this was also the submission by the people themselves who went to do the research, the benchmarking in Kenya and in other countries.
So it also became a surprise to them that where they went to do benchmarking, the Emoluments Commission is restricted to the civil servants in the executive only, not to do with the parliament, not to do with the judiciary. So actually this became an issue because all labor organizations had this concern as to why as a country we had to move away from the mandate of the Emoluments Commission, where the benchmarking was done, to include parliament and the judiciary and the other parastatals which make their own money. So I think it was discovered that it was an anomaly for us to include, to give the mandate of Emoluments Commission even to be determining how Parliament should operate, how the judiciary should operate. So because all the labor movements which appeared before the committee raised this concern that as a country we were wrong to allow the Emoluments Commission to be determining the operations of these departments other than what they were supposed to do. So the committee had no option, Chair, but to request that since the benchmarking of this Emoluments Commission by those who want to do benchmarking in other countries, it does not involve the judiciary and parliament. So we found it to be an anomaly that in our country we accidentally allowed the Emoluments Commission to be determining the emoluments for parliament and the judiciary, which these two arms of government are supposed to be very independent. And Mr. Chairman, just like the honorable members have reported on the 2023 annual budgetary report, I think this came from themselves, and it was also the position of the committee that indeed there was a lapse. So since we are before the chair of the budget committee, it is very important that this issue is looked into by yourself as to why we had this gap. I submit, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Honorable Maveta and then Honorable Mumba, if your questions stand, and then so Honorable Simunji. Then we will close after this three. Honorable Maveta.
Yes, Chair. I've got concerns over the recommendation that part of the funds being recovered by the Anti-Corruption Commission should be retained by the institution to become part of the operational fund. Now, won't this dilute the mandate of the anti-corruption, where they'll be going for cases with an intention to win them, for them to gain something from the cases they're pursuing? Well, they'll become an interested party in the cases they're investigating. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Mumba.
Thank you, Chairperson. Mine was an addition to Honorable Smushi's observation on the 25 million that the Committee on Public Accounts ably explained that they didn't get satisfactory answers from the Ministry of Tourism as to how this will in any way benefit our people, considering our energy situation. But I wanted to find out from the committee whether it would be wrong to suggest that that money is taken to debt dismantling, considering that the domestic debt that we have, the amount that has been allocated there is not pleasing, and at the same time, you know, it's a double-edged sword. We benefit from the taxation as well that will come from the same local suppliers when they are paid, because under energy, we have seen quite a number of interventions. I just thought that maybe I could hear from this committee. Thank you.
Thank you. The last one will be from Honorable Simunji.
Thank you, Chair. My question is on page 7, bridge maintenance. Chair, the need to construct bridges in this country is massive. There's a lot of money which was invested in repairing our bridges, which are still lying around in the country. So I wanted to find out from the committee whether they tried to find out why there's a low investment or use of these our bridges in the country. Wow, there's so much need to for bridges in this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable Dakanti.
Thank you, Chair. First, let me start addressing the question from Honorable Maveta. Just as we indicated as the committee chair that there is erratic funding towards the operations of the Anti-Corruption Commission, to an extent that a lot of cases cannot be adequately be addressed or prosecuted. There are many cases that the Anti-Corruption Commission is failing to execute in accordance with their full mandate. So it was the view of the committee, knowing that they have been making a lot of recoveries from forfeiture of assets that are perceived to be proceeds of crime. So the committee looked at that option to try and assist government in addressing the problem of funding at the Anti-Corruption Commission. That's how we actually as a committee resolved to say it's better if government cannot afford to fully finance the budget towards the Anti-Corruption Commission. Why don't they consider that option? Because it doesn't make any sense. They recover assets. By the end of the day, they are not able to fully execute their mandate well. To us, it didn't make any sense. So hence we decided, or we resolved, that it's better they take up that one option, such an option as a source of funding that would act as a stopgap measure towards reducing the fiscal deficit towards the Anti-Corruption Commission. Honorable Muira, you can take up from Honorable Mumba.
Thank you very much, Chair. Before I actually handle this, just to add to what Honorable Daka said regarding the Anti-Corruption Commission. You know, simple examples in their submission was that, for example, they lack transport. And yet among what they recover include various vehicles, which they all hand back to the executive, and they remain limping in terms of transport, waiting for government to fund them. So we had lines of thought like that. Going to the question Honorable Mumba asked, his suggestion that instead of taking this 25 million to the energy sector, if it can be also suggested that it can do better as well under the debt dismantling, I think as a committee this should not be a problem. In fact, Chair, we also raised the concern as a committee regarding the amount that has been allocated to debt restructuring. And this is the legacy debt owed by the government as at 31st December 2021. But when we look at the dismantling plan, 2024 to 2029, we expressed concern on how those that have to wait up to 2029 will be compensated in one or another as they wait to be paid. So yes, I think that we would support if that was to be the resolution of the committee, that in terms of adding to the energy sector, which of course is receiving several other interventions to alleviate the problem, if we could beef up the amount that has been set aside for dismantling of domestic debt. It's a supported submission.
Honorable Mfari, you can help us with the question from Honorable Simonji on issues to do with bridges, if you can. And welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think the bridges are still inadequate as far as we are concerned in terms of putting up cross points in many areas. And I think we are good to go with such infrastructure. I think that's, I didn't get much of this question, but I think
that was system.
Okay. Your mic, okay.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, and just to add up what Honorable Mfarara said, yes, the submission from Honorable Simunji, the need to construct, bridges across the country is still very high. And as a committee, we supported this allocation to investment in assets. Our emphasis was that there must be strict adherence to the budget allocation so that all these funds that have been allocated for roads and bridges be disbursed 100% and on time in order to address that need for bridges and roads across the country. I submit.
Thank you. Honorable
Chair, in fact, if you look at the allocation towards the road and bridge construction, basically, if you look at the need for the country, it's basically a drop in the ocean. You know very well the state or the condition of our infrastructure with regards to roads and bridges. Almost all constituencies were in need of bridges and roads. So, to us as a committee, we fully support this allocation and felt like, in fact, needed much more. But to us, we are fully in support of this allocation based on what I've just said and what my other colleagues have already alluded to. Mr. Chairperson, we submit.
Thank you very much. Committee on Public Accounts Committee, we want to thank you most sincerely for appearing before this expanded Planning and Budgeting Committee. Your submissions as we compile the final report definitely to add value to our work. Thank you very much. I will end here for this session. Have a good day. Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Parliament is open to members of the general public who may wish to undertake familiarization tours of Parliament buildings, either in groups or as individuals, or to attend sittings of the House or parliamentary committees. All those wishing to visit Parliament can either write to the Clerk of the National Assembly of Zambia or simply come to Parliament buildings. Upon arrival at Parliament buildings, visitors are required to identify themselves. A passport or national registration card is required for identification purposes. All visitors to parliamentary premises are required to wear smart attire, either office or casual wear. Before gaining access to the galleries, all visitors are oriented and issued with passes by the Security Department at the Media and Visitors Center. Those whom permission is granted to sit in the galleries will be ushered to the appropriate galleries by protocol officers. Furthermore, visitors are not allowed to take with them into the galleries such articles as walking sticks, umbrellas, briefcases or parcels of any type, newspapers, magazines or cell phones. All such articles must be deposited at the reception desk. Visitors to the galleries are given copies of the order paper which shows the order in which the business of that particular day would be taken. You can follow all parliamentary sessions and committee sittings on GoTV Channel 28, Topstar Channel 5, DSTV Channel 272, Parliament Radio, or like the National Assembly of Zambia Facebook page. The National Assembly of Zambia invites applications from suitably qualified and experienced candidates to fill the following positions. 1. Printing Assistant, 1 candidate. Main duties and responsibilities: printing debates, running, photocopying documents, printing reports, abstracts and other publications, and performing other duties as assigned by the supervisor. Qualifications and experience: a grade 12 school certificate, holder of a certificate in printing, certificate in graphic design will be an added advantage, and at least 2 years working experience in a similar field. 2. Annotation Assistant, 1 candidate. Main duties and responsibilities: annotating proceedings of the House, collating and distributing members' contributions, playing the national anthem to commence the parliamentary proceedings, keeping an audio and printed record of the proceedings of the House, and performing other duties as assigned by the supervisor. Qualifications and experience: grade 12 school certificate, holder of a diploma in journalism, certificate in graphic design will be an added advantage, and computer survey, and at least 2 years working experience in a similar field. All qualifications must be verified by the Zambia Qualifications Authority, ZAQA. Applications with detailed curriculum vitae clearly indicating 3 traceable referees, including their contact details, should be submitted and addressed to the Honorable Madam Speaker, National Assembly, Parliament Buildings, PO Box 31299, Lusaka. The closing date of receipt of applications is 21st October 2024. Please note that only shortlisted candidates will be contacted. Parliament is open to members of the general public who may wish to undertake familiarization tours of Parliament buildings, either in groups or as individuals, or to attend sittings of the House or parliamentary committees. All those wishing to visit Parliament can either write to the Clerk of the National Assembly of Zambia or simply come to Parliament buildings. Upon arrival at Parliament buildings, visitors are required to identify themselves. A passport or national registration card is required for identification purposes. All visitors to parliamentary premises are required to wear smart attire, either office or casual wear. Before gaining access to the galleries, all visitors are oriented and issued with passes by the Security Department at the Media and Visitors Center. Those whom permission is granted to sit in the galleries will be ushered to the appropriate galleries by protocol officers. Furthermore, visitors are not allowed to take with them into the galleries such articles as walking sticks, umbrellas, briefcases or parcels of any type, newspapers, magazines or cell phones. All such articles must be deposited at the reception desk. Visitors to the galleries are given copies of the order paper which shows the order in which the business of that particular day would be taken. You can follow all parliamentary sessions and committee sittings on GoTV channel 28, Topstar channel 5, DSTV channel 272, Parliament Radio, or like the National Assembly of Zambia Facebook page.
Did you know that you can still watch your favorite shows from anywhere, anytime? Yes! Just download the StarTimes own app from Google Play or Apple Store, then register. You can link your DTT or DTH decoder to up to 3 devices by entering your smart card number and the last 6 digits of your decoder serial number. Then voila! You're good to go. You can also pay for your subscription, change your preferred bouquet and other self-services on the app. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Topstar. Enjoy digital life.
Zambia. Even saying the word is a multi-sensory experience. It somehow captures something of the essence of this special place in the warm heart of southern Africa. Take in the mighty Zambezi River, the majestic Victoria Falls that form Zambia's natural southern border, and the national parks overflowing with wildlife. Immerse yourself in the fast-growing towns and cities, teeming with history, light, and life. Then visit the vast lakes.
Consideration of the sector budget analysis for 2025. You are welcome.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. So what we will do is we will let you introduce yourselves because we are live both on Parliament TV and radio. So allow you to do the introductions and then we will start.
Thank you, Chairperson. My name is Honorable Emmanuel Tembo, Member of Parliament for Fera Constituency, the Vice Chairperson on the Committee on Government Assurances. And I'm accompanied by my 2 colleagues who are also going to introduce themselves, and the others are in the audience.
Okay.
Through Chair, I'm Mwana Mapani, Member of Parliament for Namala Constituency. Good morning, everyone.
Thank you.
My name is Christopher Chuye, Member of Parliament for Mukushi North Constituency. Good morning.
Thank you. And my name is Freddy Attila, Member of Parliament for Momba Constituency in Monze, Chairperson for this expanded planning and budgeting committee. So we do have your submission. As you are aware that going forward we are doing what is called sector budget analysis, where your committee was given some heads to look at, and we have your committee report out of the interrogations and the interactions we had with the stakeholders. So given that you had adequate time to run through with them, at this time, all what would ask you is to basically summarize what you have in terms of the recommendations, especially recommendations you had, and then other salient points. And then after that, I will allow the members to ask questions if at all they have any questions. So because of that, we are proposing that maybe we give you a maximum of, say, 15-20 minutes, if you need all of it, to take us through, and I'll ask the members maybe to ask questions, and then we'll close. And we also are honorable members of Parliament. So I think the provision of the CAPCO will not apply, but you know what is involved in that. Okay, so Vice Chairperson, Honorable Temba and your team, you can start as and when you are ready.
Indeed, Chair, we are ready. I'm so grateful, Chair, on behalf of the committee for this opportunity. Chairperson of the Expanded Planning and Budgeting Committee, the Committee on Government Assurances, whose functions are set out in Order 205 of the National Assembly of Zambia, Standing Orders 2024, has the honor to present this report to the estimates on the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the financial year 1st January to 31st December 2025 for the fourth session of the 13th National Assembly. The committee considered four heads, namely Head 4, which is Civil Service Commission; Head 44, Ministry of Labor and Social Security; Head 97, which is Northwestern Province; and Head 98, Southern Province.
Did you say, is it 6 or 4 for Civil Service?
Oh, Head 6.
It's 6, okay.
Civil Service. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
And thank you for the correction. So, Chairperson, pursuant to Article 202 of the Constitution of Zambia, Chapter 1 of the Laws of Zambia, the 2025 estimates of revenue and expenditure were presented to the National Assembly of Zambia by the Minister of Finance and National Planning, Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwane, on Friday, 27th September 2024. The 2025 budget, amounting to 217.1 billion, was delivered under the theme Building Resilience for Inclusive Growth and Improved Livelihoods. In accordance with Standing Order 166 of the National Assembly of Zambia, Standing Orders 2024, the estimates were referred to various committees for detailed consideration. In scrutinizing the four heads of expenditure, the committee held 9 meetings and interacted with Ministers of Defense, Minister of Labor and Social Security, and respective permanent secretaries and some selected non-state actors. Chairperson, the committee's report highlights the findings and recommendations of the committee on each head. The report is in 4 parts. Let me highlight some of the recommendations of the committee on the 4 heads of expenditure. Head 6, Civil Service Commission. Chairperson, the committee notes with concern that there is a supposed bias in the selection and recruitment of personnel in the civil service. This calls for objectivity and transparency in the recruitment process. The committee also acknowledges the administrative bottlenecks that have rocked the commission, such as late deployments and wrong postings. The committee is of the view that the commission takes measures to enhance and strengthen accountability and transparency by ensuring that recruitments and promotions are based on open and objective parameters. The committee further urges the Commission to conduct continuous capacity enhancement of human resources committees in order to ensure compliance and performance monitoring. The committee therefore recommends that more resources be allocated for capacity building initiatives, particularly in undertaking ministries and regions, to foster uniform service delivery across the civil service. Mr. Chairperson, Head 44, Ministry of Labor and Social Security, the committee notes the challenges of transport in the Ministry of Labor and Social Security among the labor inspectors, and recommends that the allocation for procurement of vehicles be altered to partly be used to procure motorcycles for labor inspectors, which are relatively cheaper and easier to maintain. And obviously the other portion goes to purchase motor vehicles. This will enhance mobility of officers in capacity in carrying out comprehensive labor inspections, especially in the mining industries. This will also enhance occupational health and safety measures aimed at reducing or eliminating accidents which seem to be on the increase. The committee further urges the executive to approve the new organizational structure for the Ministry of Labor and Social Security in order to establish district labor offices in all the districts, as currently only 54 districts actually have labor officers. And in view of the increased CDF, there are a lot of contractual activities that are going on by our contractors doing a lot of work, and labor officers need to be on the ground to check on this. The committee also urges the ministry to consider reforming the public pension laws and regulations in order to harmonize the pension benefits for National Pension Scheme Authority NAPSA and Public Service Pension Fund PSPF. The harmonization process will help address the apparent disparities in the benefits from the two pension schemes. Head 97, Northwestern Province. Chairperson, the committee notes that while the provincial administration indicated that it desired to have its allocation increased, it had attained most of its targets and on many fronts overperforming beyond 100%. This notwithstanding, there remains a need for infrastructure development in the province. The committee therefore recommends that the budget be maintained as it is. However, the committee urges the Provincial Administration Office to continue engaging the Treasury for increased funding towards the infrastructure development. Head 98, Southern Province. Chairperson, the committee takes note of the challenges the province has encountered owing to the effects of climate change, since the province is one of those that has been adversely affected. The provincial administration budget has been designed to address the prevailing effects of climate change with a reasonable allocation to the Natural Resource Management Program. The committee therefore recommends that the budget be maintained as it is. The committee further recommends that given the adverse effects of climate change of the province, there is need to come up with a drought response initiatives and climate change mitigation measures and improve access to water supply and sanitation by constructing more dams in the province. Mr. Chairperson, in conclusion, the committee noted that almost all the stakeholders highlighted similar concerns regarding late and irregular receipt of funds for implementation of activities. This adversely affected the attainment of key milestones and conversely impacted their contributions towards the attainment of their targets in the 8th National Development Plan. The committee therefore recommends that the Treasury ensures that all spending agencies are funded regularly and timely, and that capital projects should be funded from a central budget line to ensure equitable distribution of project resources. This would help spending agencies to focus on context-specific issues within their areas of operation. Chairperson, I submit.
Thank you very much, Honorable Tembo, for that submission. Honorable members, any questions? Honorable Nyirenda?
Thank you very much, Chair. On page 11, on paragraph 3, the Vice Chair submitted that given the challenges with transports among the labor inspectors, the committee is of the view that the allocation for procurement of vehicles be altered to partly be used to procure motorcycles for labor inspectors. I want to find out from the committee if really your recommendation is that they should reduce the number of vehicles and still use that same money to be able to purchase motorcycles. Because ideally you can be able to move the resource from one vote to just within the ministry. Is that your recommendation that on this vote which has been allocated for vehicles, they should reduce the number of vehicles and be able to buy the other? And also on your first page, you noted that there has been too much attention on employment of teachers and maybe nurses and doctors. Just 2 ministries have been, like the government has concentrated on just the health sector and also the teaching. Have you been able to recommend, or maybe do you have a recommendation of saying reduce maybe 1,000 teachers so that we can be able to employ 1,000 maybe, agriculture extension officers, so that we can be able to improve on some of the challenges which the country is facing? I submit, Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions? I also just wanted to find out in terms of, I want to believe that you interacted either with the permanent secretary, say from the provinces, or the ministers from those other heads. And one common feature which you have highlighted is that of the lack of and irregular funding throughout all these heads. And now those are the controlling officers. What could have been one of them? I know you could have asked them why they were not being funded adequately. So we just wanted to find out what could have been one of the responses from the controlling officers. Okay, can you respond to those two as we wait? If at all there will be any other questions, then we'll close. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Chairperson. I'll quickly attempt the 2 of them, then I'll ask my colleagues to also supplement or augment. Yes, indeed, the committee did take note of the fact that the budget provided for 4 motor vehicles in the 2025 budget that were to be procured. Because as it were, we have 54 districts where there are labor officers, but out of the 54 districts, we had, that should be 24 districts with motor vehicles. So meaning that the other districts where there are labor officers, they are not. But the government, the executive provided for 4 further vehicles. Now, it was noted that in view of limited resources, and looking at the urgency with which the labor officers needed to do their job, motorcycles would actually be of, would be helpful, and hence, this, the fact that it will suffice to buy partly, say, 2 motor vehicles, then we'll get a lot of motorcycles from the cost of procuring the 2 other motor vehicles. So that is the recommendation. As regards the employment, having been focused mostly on education and health, we take note of the heavy recruitment. We are aware that in some ministries there could be minor recruitments, for instance, Ministry of Tourism. But we are foreseeing a situation where other ministries, and they rightly pointed out, and we are grateful for that observation, the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Livestock, these are underfunded, and there's so in the absence of the actual labor distribution record, we have the view that we make a general statement that the central government actually deals with, looks at the holistic provision of labor distribution across all the ministries, and ensure that there's they strike a balance. Yeah. The chair also, let me quickly, yes, the lack of irregular funding was one thing that was actually noted by all the spending agencies, and one issue that came out from the interrogation of the members was that there was a lot of bureaucracy, and that led to this lack of funding, the lack of timely funding. So the main issue is bureaucracy between the spending agents and the central government, in particular the Ministry of Finance. At this point, Chair, allow me just to quickly ask, starting with Honorable Mapani, just to augment. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Through our Vice Chairperson, Chair, the issue of funding to government institution was of grave concern, in that ministries or provincial administrations have failed to execute their obligations because of the nature money is actually paid to them, which was the minors. And I want to believe in our meetings with them, they actually made an emphasis that if there was a way, the Office of the Treasury General, the Secretary Treasury, ought to improve, because the fundings or the monies that are supposed to be received in the second or third quarter
These are the monies that are given to them the last month before the budget is pronounced. Meaning, Chair, it makes it very difficult for them to meet their obligations. Apart from that, the other thing that was actually talked about more, especially in the southern province, we had a couple of projects which were signed, but unfortunately, Chair, what happened? The money was never released from 2023 to 2024 on the project which were approved. One among other projects, Chair, was the issue of dams. There were dams that were assigned or supposed to have been constructed in the southern province in 2023. No funding was given. Again, those things were pushed, or the monies or the projects were pushed to 2024. Still to date, Chair, no funding was actually sent to them. That alone has a negative effect on the operations of the provincial administration. Going forward, of course, Chair, that was the reason why we had made it very clear that the Treasury need to ensure that what is assigned to the people or to the provincial administration ought to be done within the stipulated time so that people are able to perform their obligation as predicted of time. Chair, with that, I submit.
Thank you. Honorable Mavenga, mic off. Honorable Chwe.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Just to add on what my colleagues have presented, on the spending agencies through from the provinces, it was actually mentioned to the committee that the issue of holding up the money when it is time for the Ministry of Finance to mop up or correct the monies from these provinces, it was observed that they needed to be given express authority to spend even after the budget line is crossed into the next budget line. But they don't have the money, the authority to spend even after that period, the cross of the budget, the previous year. So it was noticed that if they could be given the express authority to spend the monies that they already have, that would help in executing the existing projects. But they don't have that express authority, not until the supplementary budget is presented in Parliament. That's when they can as well have the authority to pay off for other works happening in the province. So those were the comments, and indeed they really wanted those express authorities. If central government can give them express authorities, then we cannot have that backlog of works. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you. Honorable Mavenga, then Honorable Mijelandi, Honorable Mumba. Honorable Mavenga.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. My clarification is on page 6, Roman numeral 2, on the recruitment of personnel. I don't know whether the committee has made a strong recommendation somewhere, which I have tried to find, on how best they can do the recruitment of this personnel, because everybody wants to be employed. But if this issue has come up of bias in the recruitment, we need to see a strong recommendation from the committee. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Mijelo.
Chairperson, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Vice Chairperson, for your presentation. Yeah, mine is on the issue of releases, and you've talked about insufficient funding to some of these ministries which you've highlighted. And what I want to find out is, look, if I drive you back a little bit, on last week is when people were giving these budgets. I don't know if you did find out how much was released, okay, in the third quarter, from the first quarter, second and third quarter. All right. Then the honorable colleague here from Mukush did mention that there are some funds, okay, which were not utilized during the cycle year. okay, and people are forced, okay, to spend, okay, outside the cycle here. I just want to find out, because there are two now a contradictory statement, that there is money left, and there was also money was not also not released, because Chairperson, I think allocation is a different thing, okay, and a releasing of fund is also a different thing. So I just want to find out, was the money released in the first year, in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, or monies are released in the third quarter so that they can just fulfill the allocation of the budget? Your take on that one, Vice Chairperson.
Thank you. Honorable Mumba.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Thank you very much, Committee on Government Assurance. I would also want to add to what Honorable Mavenga has observed, the strong recommendation that would come for government basically just employing two professions, or two professions that come out vividly, basically teachers and nurses. And the numbers are equally quite very low because of the fact that government cannot be able to afford. I just wanted to know whether the committee thought about other methods of employment which government could utilize and probably employ far much more numbers. In this case, what comes to my mind is apprenticeship programs, which obviously government gives these graduates a livable wage, and as the economy continues to grow and heal, opportunities of permanent employment, and at the same time strengthening of somebody's work experience gives them an opportunity to provide a better service. And then secondly, you have observed on the issue of transport, I think that government for a long time, most government institutions are struggling with transport, including the Vice President's office, the President's office, and later on, other very important line ministries as well, labor being one of them. I wanted to know whether your suggestion of moving from vehicles to a lesser mode of transport in terms of expense, which is a motorbike, whether at that point there was any thought about other methods of procurement, such as finance lease, which would allow the government to buy a much more number of vehicles with less immediate outflow of huge amounts, but obviously over a period of maybe 36 months or 60 months, as it were, 5 years, government could probably utilize that as one way in which we could provide vehicles at the same time as lessen the expense, so that the budget remains balanced. I just wanted to get your thoughts on those two. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll close with Honorable Nyambose. Honorable Nyambose, you can.
Chair, it's just maybe to augment what my colleagues have said, especially Honorable Anton Mumba. Over time, Chair, Labour has been one of the ministries that has been underfunded, and lamentations have been there even before I became a member of Parliament. And yet we are seeing a lot happening in the investment side, and we are seeing a lot of casualization, people not respecting labor laws. Did the committee, or maybe what measures, apart from the suggestion that you have put across of getting a lesser mode of transport, lesser expensive mode of transport of motorbikes, what do you think should be done? Or we are conceding that we cannot do anything? Look at what is happening in the mines now. Investment is coming, even under CDF. But we don't have labor officers in Chasefu. No one is in Undazi, the very person. Why can't we emphasize this point? Or did the committee look at emphasizing these points, sticking to the fact that labor has always been underfunded, and we must ensure that we lobby for resources. Did the committee look at that? Then the other last one, Chairperson, is on the recruitment in the Civil Service Commission. Just like my colleagues have indicated, we have seen a lot deliberate system when recruiting nurses, when we are recruiting teachers. But when it comes to the civil service, having worked there, I want to give an example, Chairperson. When you are, there is this people leaving employment, attrition, leaving employment, one person resigns. What I saw in the civil service is that it's very expensive to advertise or to recruit using the formal and normal system of recruitment. Hence, they're being accused to be using other methods. Chair, how do you recruit one person or two people? Just the process is very expensive. Hence, there is that internal system that they use to recruit. Did the committee look at that? When you look at the numbers, less than 5 or less than 2, I submit, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Tembo.
Thank you, Chair. Quickly, Chair, we will respond first with Honorable Mabenga, whether there was a strong recommendation from the committee as regards disparities in recruitment of personnel. Now, there's also, I was not quite sure whether it's nurses and teachers or, you know, the recommendation on a broader, balanced recruitment in view of what the Constitution says. But assuming that, you know, we are still talking about why focus on 2 professions, we have made a general statement, having in mind that each, the government of the day has got its focus. That notwithstanding, we made our observations generally to ensure that, government broadens what they think that, would help out. Because at the moment, the government focuses mostly on education, and clearly, there's also been free education, which has sort of increased the need for personnel, and obvious health is, is a cross-cutting issue. Yeah, so we did not specifically, bring but we believe that the recommendations that we've made, all of them are actually strong. So, in agreeing with you, let me just say that the recommendations we've made as a committee, because this is a parliamentary committee, they're actually strong. Yeah, so in terms of release of funds from spending, from central government to spending agencies, how much was released? Generally, we did not look at each of the 4 spending agencies, but what came out was that most of the money, there was an increase towards the end of the quarter in terms of releasing the funds, and this to a large extent affected the implementation of those projects. Now, money left, which was referred to, although Honorable Christopher Chibuye would deal with that, money left versus money not released on many fronts, because here we are talking about money released for a particular project, whilst there's another project that still is awaiting. And I think this is the issue we're dealing with. So for the money that you have, you can spend it, move it there, just there and there, because you don't have the authority. Yeah. So indeed, in terms of apprenticeship programs, this came out very strongly, and in view of the limited financing, it was felt strongly that what government is already doing, and we believe that there's a project funded under World Bank in the civil service, this need to be increased. And it was foreseen that, once people have just graduated, they have too much theory, and they need to be given that opportunity before then when there are openings, they become automatic, candidates for employment or taking up. And this addresses what Honorable Nyambose also raised that, when you have 5 openings, you may not need to go and advertise, people see it, perhaps they'll attract allowances and so on. So this the same, yeah. So the transport issue really, what we are looking at is not really to replace motor vehicles with motorcycles. What we are talking about is that in the interim, let's have motorcycles also procured. It has been a tradition that, all we need is just motor vehicles, but in some areas where even roads may not allow, motorcycles become even more useful. So we're talking about, because also there are some areas that must be reached by motor vehicles. So just a balancing act, and on one hand we have all these motorcycles, and it was a strong feeling of the committee that these motorcycles, in the interim, looking at the challenges in the labor, lack of respect for labor laws, and so many infringements. At least with a motorcycle, one can even go on a mine, produce his ID, and be able to get what is happening on the ground. In the same vein, and I think it was referred to Honorable Nyambose, where we do not have a vehicle, or there is a system of report mechanism of complaints. However, this, not only is it known, but also I think there is less use of this. Perhaps it's a cultural thing when people are not used to picking a phone, and hence the major issue remains a labor inspector going on the ground and seeing for himself. And there are many reasons people may not report. Others feel that once I report, no matter how much you assure them of their, the confidentiality, they will just feel that I'll lose my job. So there is that mechanism that where the commission was actually advised to try and sensitize. Yeah. Okay. So I'll leave my colleagues just to add on to what I've already said. Starting with Honorable Mapani.
Through Chair, I think there was a concern here in terms of the strength of the recommendation that we need to produce, or strong recommendation. Chair, really the content of the recommendation is what determines the weight of the recommendation, not per se the length of the wording. So I just wanted to put it clear that the recommendation that we have put across, Chair, we thought as a committee that's the way they're supposed to be. And Chair, just to add a bit on the issue of motorcycles, some of us who lived way back, Chair, you agree with me that before schools, we had what we called inspector schools. They never used vehicles anywhere. They depended purely on motorbikes, and they performed their obligations. We could see from the reports which were produced then. And now if we are going to say we are only going to go for motor vehicles, Chair, the question will be how many districts to be covered. The whole instance is not per se what is the number of area or the kilometers that ought to be covered. To be covered, and the reports are produced so that at the end of the day, the people in charge, or the people superintendents over those projects, are able to produce a report that can be actually submitted to everyone, or which everyone can go through and know exactly what's happening. I'll give you an example of places like Namwala constituency, where I come from. Chair, there are areas that cannot be reached by the motor vehicle because of the poor road network. And this will take us a bit of some time to ensure that our road network is improved. But those areas can still be reached by motor vehicles, by motorbikes. So that's the reason why we are saying it might be taken into consideration that in places where the road network is not perfect, using motorbike will be a plus, because the places which vehicles will not reach, reports will still be gotten from there, and people will know exactly what is happening. Those people managing the companies or organization will know that at least this is what is happening in Namwala at this point, because reports will be extracted from there. Unlike just having vehicles. And vehicles, how many vehicles? We look at the cost. One vehicle can produce not less than 20 or 30 motorbikes, meaning in nearly all the labor offices, all the districts will be covered. And all what we are looking for is information from the districts, whether indeed what is intended is achieved. I submit.
Thank you. Honorable Chue.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I think the issue of motorbikes here was looking at the resource envelope. We looked at the resource envelope for the Ministry of Labour, and we saw that, well, that resource envelope provided for now, if splitted, then we would cover many districts having mobility and inspect these institutions and indeed various workplaces. We take, for instance, the Minister of Agriculture. They have been using motorbikes, and their reporting system is perfectly good. So we said, I think this can also be implicated, rather replicated to the Minister of Labour. Coming to the question that was Honorable Kasauta said it was contradictory in nature. We're talking about the releases that happen for a certain project, let's say building a dam in Southern Province. And that funding comes on 31st December. Despite the contractor having done the work, he will not be paid after the close of the cycle, meaning that money will still remain. So the spending agency has no authority, even having that money which has been released for that particular project. The money will not be spent, not until authority is granted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, sorry, I just realized I left out the issue raised by Honorable Anton Mumba on finance leasing as an option to procurement of vehicles. The committee obviously did not look at that. We take note of the fact that the executive on several occasions have made it clear that they want to reduce borrowing. I know that there's borrowing plan films. So we did not look at that as an option to the issue of procurement of vehicles or the motorcycles. I thank you.
Thank you. The last question will be from Honorable Nyinanda.
Thank you very much. Committee, yours was looking at occupational safety in order to maybe reduce poverty and vulnerability, inequality. Those are some of the issues that you were dealing with. Of late, we have had several accidents and, state funerals taking place of a lot of miners who are dying. A lot of our youth, we have lost 10, we are just being buried now. This time it's in Mumbwa, the next time it's in Solwezi, the other time it's in Nondazi. So you'll find that this issue, it falls under directly your ministry, which you were trying to, scrutinize. The question that I have for you is, did you look at any vote which was going to look into the occupational safety, and whether it is one of the votes which are being given a priority, especially that it falls under labor issues? Or is there any law that maybe the Ministry of Labor needed to have so that some of the costs should be taken to the owners of those mines? And I don't know how it can be looked at. I submit, Chair. That was my issue.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Honorable Tembo and your team.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, we did not specifically look at occupational health as an isolated issue. Suffice to add that we took note of the rising issues of safety and I think it has been noted in the report that miners or mining companies actually have not, and therefore, because this is directly linked to inspections, and we believe that if mobility is increased, even with bicycles or motorcycles, at least the presence of an inspector is there, then some of these things will be reduced, they will be foreseen. Because clearly, these were not, things that just happened. They've been there for years or so. So what has been lacking actually, which came out strongly from the ministry side, was that they lacked ability to move closer to and inspect all these things. So, in terms of the vote, so basically, we could not, because other votes were also said to be less funded. So we did not look at that specifically. In terms of legal reforms, there is the Employment Act, it's under review. Now this is contested because the Employment Act somehow the employers are complaining that it's pro-employee, and therefore, it makes their work difficult as employers, because every time they're taken to court, they suffer, they suffer expenses, which reduces their investment. So, so the Employment Act obviously is undergoing review, and we did not specifically look at it from the angle that the employer must also take that. But I think that we have adequate laws that can make the employer pay if they are found to be wrong. And I think it brings us back to the issue of inspection, because that will only be established when someone is on the ground. Thank you. Anything?
Okay, honourable members, we have to end here. Vice Chairperson for the Committee on the Government Assurances, thank you very much with your team for appearing before this committee, the Expanded Planning and Budgeting Committee. Your recommendations surely will be taken care of as we do the final report for the main house. So once again, thank you very much for coming through to appear before this committee. Have a good day.
Thank you, Chair. We remain indebted. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a land where every person is born free, and it's a land of peace, of love and unity. This land, Zambia, land of the strong, home of the brave, our land, Zambia, free men we stand. In this land, beauty all around, there is no other, love like a mother's, love for her child. Oh, there's nobody come and take our peace away. Let no one take what is meant for all to share. This land, Zambia, land of the strong, home of the brave, our land, Zambia. side. Put a trust in God. Learn to love each other. You must sense that you're my brother. Right or wrong, together we are stronger. So don't let nothing tear us apart.
My e-Parliament mobile application. My e-Parliament is a mobile application developed by the National Assembly of Zambia in order to bring Parliament closer to you. You can download and install My e-Parliament from App Store or Play Store. Once installed, you can raise your concerns, provide your input, opinion and feedback on various projects or decisions being made in your constituency. On My e-Parliament mobile application, you can listen to Parliament Radio. You will have access to parliamentary documents such as bills and acts which are considered in Parliament. You will also have access to National Assembly social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. You can also watch parliamentary debates live on our YouTube channel. Download My e-Parliament now. My e-Parliament, bringing Parliament closer to you.
Before we go straight into our business, let me request the gentleman seated to my far right, putting on a blue jacket, to go and dress properly. Sir, we request you to go back and dress properly, then you can come in. This is Parliament, and we are not here to joke. You don't come as if you are going to head animals here. Before we go straight into our business, let me request, first of all, Mr. Is it Daka?
Salatio Daka.
I see, Mr. Daka, Salatio. Before we proceed, let me request honorable members of Parliament to introduce themselves, and the Secretariat, also our permanent witness. Then I will request you to introduce yourself and your team. Honorable colleagues, starting from my far right, Honorable Member for Vubwi.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, witness. Banda Kreo, Member of Parliament for Vubwi in the Eastern Province, and a member of this committee. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, our witness. Peter Piri, Member of Parliament from Kaika constituency. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Good morning, witness. My name is Tyson Simzingiri, Member of Parliament for Gwembe. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, witness. I'm Lusale Simbao, Member of Parliament for Luansha constituency.
Thank you, Honorable.
Good morning, Honorable colleagues and Chair, and good morning, witnesses. I'm Honorable Malambo Mwemba, Member of Parliament for Magoyo constituency, and a member of this committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable. Secretariat? Okay. Permanent witness.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, witnesses. My name is Walia Mwansa Salamu from the Ministry of Justice, here as a permanent witness.
Thank you, Madam.
You are most welcome, Zambia Climate Change Network. My name is Evans Chilongo from those of the clerk. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Secretariat. Yes, Mr. Daka and your team.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. Thank you so much, Honorable Committee members. My name is Salatio Daka from Zambia Climate Change Network. I'll allow my team, beginning from my right-hand side, to introduce themselves.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Chair, and honorable members of Parliament. My name is Mwewa Timothy from Fiani, Zambia.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Chair. My name is Amos Mtonga. I'm from ZCCN and native Manawasa Medical University lecturer.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Chair. I'm Nicholas Kasoma. I'm from Levi Manawasa Medical University under the School of Public Health and Environmental Sciences.
Thank you very much, sir.
Apologies, Chair, for the mishap. My name is Mwamba Simon. I'm from the Family Development Initiative, a member of the Zambia Climate Change Network.
Thank you very much, sir. Apology accepted. Yes, Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you so much, Chair. Good morning, witness, and welcome. My name is Maureen Mabonga, MP from Fue. I'm also the Vice Chairperson for the committee. Sorry. That was so bad. I'm sorry.
Thank you very much. My name is Michelo Kasauta, a Member of Parliament for Gwengwa constituency in Monze District, Southern Province, and I'm the chairperson of this committee on agriculture, lands and natural resources. Mr. Daka and your team, this time around, we just want to request you to make your submission, I think within 20 to 25 minutes, so that you can allow members of Parliament to ask questions and point of clarifications. And this time around, let me request you to proceed with your submission.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair, for the honor of having us here. We're very grateful. I think this is a committee that we have appeared before quite a number of times, and we have submitted a number of our analysis on several matters. And I think even this time around, us being here is actually a great honor. Allow me to indicate first that you notice the colleagues I'm with introducing themselves as coming from different organizations. And so the Zambia Climate Change Network is actually a membership-based organization. We operate with several members that are actually working in different thematic areas within the climate change space. And so our submission here today is actually a collective effort of the network. And so the members here actually added their voice into what we are submitting. And also just to indicate, Chair, that our mission as a network and as an organization is actually to coordinate stakeholders, stakeholder engagement on climate change and related issues, and that's advocating for climate finance, for example, climate justice, lobbying and campaigning, as well as domesticating most of these international policies into what we can use at national level. And so we have been in operation from around 2011 to date, and right now we exist as a national platform for civil society organizations operating in the climate change space. So I thought of just giving a background of who we are as an organization. So we're called upon to make our comments and submissions on two critical issues that came before us, and I think I'll begin with the first one, and that is the ratification of the Southern Africa Science Service Center for Climate Change and Adaptive Land Management, SASCAO Treaty. So, Honorable Chair, just to give a background of our situation analysis, climate change affects all regions of the world, and its impacts are transboundary. Zambia and Southern African countries face similar challenges in addressing the cause as well as impacts experienced by climate change, such as floods, droughts, heat waves that have increased in intensity and frequency. I think from the El Nino that we have experienced, and now the looming La Nina being experienced, extreme weather events have continued to batter Zambia and the region at large. From the droughts experienced in the region, from the 2023-2024 rainfall pattern, to the expected normal and above normal rainfall this season, it's cardinal that science models, research, including integration of indigenous knowledge systems is improved to inform decision making. Zambia has put in place the National Climate Change Policy of 2016 that prioritizes adaptation measures with key areas of interventions being capacity building, research and development, technology transfer, and development. It is cardinal to note that the policy has identified land use change as one of the main drivers of climate change. This attribution to unsustainable land natural resource use and management. Further, the country has developed the National Adaptation Plan, the NAP, of 2023 that recognizes the low adaptive capacity of the country along the socio-economic factors with regard to vulnerability of communities in the nation. Allow me, Honorable Chair and Honorable Committee members, to indicate that it is against this background that we make this submission of our comments and our position with regard to the ramification of ratifying this agreement. Here are our submissions, Honorable Chair. We are glad that this treaty was adopted in 2019 based on the information from the previous research and project activities undertaken within the countries that are party, and nothing noting the key issues highlighted in the preamble. We therefore make our submission. Article 3 aims and functions, which I think is indicated on page 8, we find these to be relevant and are in line with our climate change policy and the NAP as a nation. I think special attention has been drawn to section 1 from subsection E to H that brings in action related to the exploration, introduction and extension of rational land management systems, promotion and implementation of policies and measures to effectively deal with climate change, strengthening of human capacities on economic impacts, land use adaptation, and the conservation of water and biotic resources, and development of models of best practices. Honorable Chairperson, these are things that we highlighted even in our submission of the budget analysis with our concerns on the adequate budget towards natural resource management. I was happy to note that Honorable Mabonga was here. I think when we were making this budget presentation, she's one of the members that were present, and she should have, I think, remembered some of these submissions that we made. Let me continue, Honorable Chair, by indicating that having done the situational analysis and with the above comments, we submit that Zambia, through the recommendations of this committee, must ratify the Sascao Treaty because it will contribute to address the challenges related to climate change and adaptation for land management that this country and other parties in the region. Given the potential benefits we see, ratifying the Sascao Treaty as a positive step towards improving climate resilience and sustainability. The current climate crisis poses considerable challenges to Zambia's agriculture, water resources, and infrastructure. Thus, adopting a regional framework focusing on research, capacity building, and policy alignment would most certainly be beneficial. Sascao's shared research and data are anticipated to benefit Zambia, including improving national climate models and making policy decisions. The training programs and funding options would help Zambia achieve its aim of